Askreddit bio. Oh, me too. What dark secret are you hiding from everyone? I witnessed my fiance's suicide last year. I moved states afterwards and started a new life. My co-workers, clients, and new friends call me the sunshine of whatever room I walk into, but I'm completely dead inside. Even though I choose to fake it, I resent them for not seeing how fucked up I am. Damn. I can't imagine being in your situation. I know you feel fucked up, but I hope you realize you're important too. Last Christmas Eileen, my sister and I don't have the same father and are technically half sisters. My sister's biological father tried to start a relationship with my mom that resulted in a pregnancy and ultimately didn't work out. That biological father is dead now, but I didn't probe any further about his identity or how he died in case it was something traumatic for my mom to remember. So she raised my sister as a single mother at my grandma's house in the 80s. Then she met my father and they started dating, and it worked out because they got married in the 90s, moved into a new house, and a short time after that I was born. She told me never call my sister my half-sister and just pretend all of this doesn't matter because she's my sister and I'm keeping it that way. And if anyone asks about the 10-year age gap, I just tell them it's a long story. My sister is technically a half-sister as well, but the way we grew up she is 100% my sister and neither of us ever uses the word half when referring to the other. I have a secret fantasy life, populated with imaginary friends. It started in grade school, and I have continued all my life. I am in my 50s now, and still prefer to be alone in my imaginary world instead of being with family or friends. I can't even tell my psychiatrist because I am afraid he will lock me up or give me drugs to make it all stop. This sounds like maladaptive daydreaming. It's not dangerous or a sign of needing to be locked up. All the best to ya. When I was a teenager, I worked at a novelty tourist shop near me. Being the idiot that I was, I stole a wad of cash from the store. It was $100 in ones. I told nobody, but they knew it was missing. Right about the same time, a co-worker who was always trying to get me fired was telling someone she got about $100 in tips from her other job. They ended up firing her because they didn't trust that it wasn't her. Not super dark, but mine is also stealing from my employer. It was a seasonal job and they told people if you came back next season you'd get a raise. Next season I got a 50-cent per hour raise and mentioned it to a couple other people who had also returned, who it turned out didn't get a raise. They went and complained to the boss, who then took my raise back and gave them each 25-cent raises. I argued with the boss for a bit but eventually just decided I'd steal a few bucks per shift to make up the difference. When I was 16, I conspired with a heroin addict I met online to help me off myself with heroin and dump my body in a dumpster in exchange for my valuables. I lived in a small town and he was in a bigger city where my school had an upcoming trip. We planned for me to slip away during the trip and meet up with him to do the deed. He chickened out last minute and ghosted me. I don't think he chickened out. He probably never believed the plan was serious. I've struggled with disordered eating for at least a decade. It ebbs and flows. I know it's unhealthy, but the toxic part of me loves the feeling of being empty. Several years ago it was really bad. I was at my lowest weight ever. I had brain fog, difficulty breathing. When I started eating again my stomach would get really bloated even if I only ate a small amount. I gained weight in the last year or so and my depression and anxiety got really bad for a while. My family thinks I don't want to spend time with them. However, I just wanted to stay home because trying on my clothes and the idea of being in public made me want to kill myself. It was easier on me mentally to just stay home. I can feel myself slipping back into my old disordered eating habits, unfortunately. 2 years ago one of my best friends and I went half-seas on a fuck ton of Xanax. On the 8th of June we both took Xanax from the batch we split. I woke up. He didn't. No one knows I had anything to do with the drugs that killed him. And I don't know if I can ever bring myself to tell someone. It's heartbreaking hearing of so many people who were sexually assaulted as children and feeling like they have no option but to hide it, lest it cause irreparable rifts between friends, family, and other close ones. Just want to let all of you affected by this know that if you did go public, you are not the cause of any conflict, no matter how anybody else paints it. You were the victim of one of the most heinous things one human being can do to another. The source of conflict is all down to whoever perpetrated the violence against you, and the shame should not be yours to live with. This is a nice thing to say. I once brought up a past trauma and I had comments telling me I was irresponsible for not speaking up because what if the person who abused me had went on and abused other people because I didn't try to stop them? Fuck this website honestly. I make up lies about what I do on the weekend. Usually I don't do much and I'm very content with that. Others are always asking me what I'm doing and I never had anything to tell them. I make up lies to get out of phone calls or plans, saying I'm out of town or with friends. I love just being left alone. My PTSD isn't getting better. I have nightly nightmares of the industrial accident I was in. I see my coworker ripping his burnt face off every night. I no longer scream in my sleep because of it. I'm no longer terrified as much by it. Even though I know it's not my fault, I feel an enormous amount of guilt for what happened to him. Sometimes when I'm not sleeping I'll hear the scream he made in the distance and it'll make my blood feel like ice. Therapy hasn't done much. I want to echo EMDR. I'm a first responder and have seen many coworkers deal with the trauma and horror of the job. Everyone I know who has tried EMDR has told me it's life-changing. If it isn't a good fit, please don't stop trying to find something that is. Please continue to advocate for yourself. And know that you are experiencing a normal reaction to an abnormal event. Most people will never experience something that comes close to what you experienced, which can feel horribly isolating. Sending hugs to you. I was molested on a cruise ship by an employee when I was 8. Happened about 30 years ago. Not a huge secret in comparison to some of these answers, but I feel the guilt of it often. After my fiancé passed, I napped all the time for over a year. My aunt was calling me one day and I just denied her call. Went back to napping. It was my aunt calling because my grandma, who was very sick with cancer, wanted to say happy birthday a day before my birthday. Grandma died the next day. I should have picked up the damn phone. She still loved you and just wants you to be happy. It's okay to not be okay and sometimes we miss important things for that reason. My brother and I did a 23andMe. We discovered we have a half sibling, same father, who is older than us. I messaged them but no reply. Since the half sibling is older, it was during my father's military career, which was short-lived because he got a dishonorable discharge that he hides from his family still. Kind of similar story here. 6 years ago when I was 24, my mom randomly told me I have an older half sister that my dad completely abandoned. She only knew of my sister's mother's name, so I searched for her on Facebook and found my sister. She is the spitting image of our father, so I knew immediately it was true. Both my sister and her mom confirmed it, and my sister and I immediately started bonding. We are incredibly close. My father's side was overjoyed when I found her, as they knew of her but never what happened to her. We've all welcomed her with open arms, except my father. When she reached out to him, he essentially told her to fuck off, then screamed at me that she wasn't my sister, and continues to call me the bitch that ruined the family. Her and I did 23andMe and we matched as half siblings, so now there's no denying it. I lost a shitty father but gained an incredible sibling that means 10x more to me. My grandpa was stationed in Okinawa, Japan during the Korean War, while in the Marines. He hooked up with a woman there, and she got pregnant. So, I have a Japanese aunt and a few cousins in Japan, whom I've never met before. Hank Hill. In high school, I was a super good kid. Straight A student who loved homework, keeping out of trouble, and who was quiet as hell during class. So anyway, there was this guy who was also in AP classes with me, but he was super loud and obnoxious but would pull stunts in such a way that he would have some margin of plausible deniability. Though we never spoke, I'm not sure he even knew I existed. He rubbed me the wrong way. Maybe it was from the one cold day when this other girl in our class had her nipples poking through her shirt BC she forgot a sweater and he kept saying to her, "Damn, it's cold." Maybe it was from when he would pretend to be friends with kid who was definitely spectrum and desperate to be friends with him to do the bully's homework for him and then bully him the next day. IDK. So at random, sometimes once a week or a month or once every couple of months, I would whistle. It's this high-pitched whistle that sounds like a tea kettle that I can do while barely moving my mouth. Back then, no one knew I could do it except for my family. The super obnoxious kid always got in trouble. I was never once suspected. That's hilarious. I have a similar ability. I can make a chirping noise like a baby chick. When I was a kid, I was in church ostensibly singing in the choir but actually chirping to the music. My family downstairs knew it was me and we're all doing that, trying not to laugh, but I'm almost ready to explode them. Decades later, it's still a topic that comes up at family gatherings. I never have other plans that I just can't cancel. 4 o'clock, wallow in self-pity. 4:30, stare into the abyss. 5 o'clock, solve world hunger and tell no one. 5:30, jazzercise. 6:30, dinner with me, I can't cancel that again. 7 o'clock, wrestle with my self-loathing. I'm booked. Of course, if I bump the loathing to 9, I could still be done in time to lay in my bed, stare at the ceiling and slip slowly into madness. I owe the bank 100k. Hey bud, I think they know. My grandma was in a car accident and broke her ankle, so she stayed at my house and my mom, we took care of her while she recovered. I was entering puberty at the time and discovered that you could order porn on cable and was like a madman ordering porn. The bill that month came out to $500. My mom thought it was my grandma because her novelists were on like channel 50-60 and the porn was 500-600 MFAO. I've literally never told anyone to this day. Eater, I am Latina and sex porn for women is still pretty taboo in my culture, so that's why I'm so scared to tell anyone. Even if my mom and I are pretty open with each other, I'm still embarrassed. However, my grandma passed away in 2019 and I felt compelled to tell my secret. But my mom sees that story as a funny memory she has of my grandma that she likes to look back on and laugh about, so IDK if I should lol. Mayo mom, grandma's ordering porn again. My wife and I aren't officially married. No one knows. We had a ceremony and everything. Reception. The whole 9 yards. We just never